Be honest right now. How many of you think that your meetings are pretty much a complete waste of time? If you're anything like the hundreds of entrepreneurs that I've worked with, the answer is all of you. All of us, right? We all think that meetings are the worst part of our day. And if that's true, then I can promise you that your employees feel exactly the same way. And the part you may not know is that it is costing you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, that is a ridiculous thing to say. So I am going to break it all down in this video. Not just how your meetings right now are costing you 6 figures a year, but also what to do about it and how to run meetings that are not only more efficient and more effective, but are meetings that you and your team are actually excited to show up to every single day. So, first off, how do we get to this ridiculous claim that our meetings are costing us hundreds of thousands of dollars every year? Very simply put, time spent talking is time not spent making money, right? The time that you and your team are on Zoom together having meetings, that is time that you are paying for. That is dollars and cents that you are investing for your team to sit there and talk instead of for your team to do the thing that you hired them for, the thing that actually makes you money. So let me give you a real example of a client we had. This client had a team of 20 people, and twice a week for 60 minutes, he would get the entire team together to sit there and go line by line through the entire business and every single client and just figure out what's going on and what do we need to do with this client. Okay, the math on that meeting, 20 people times 2 hours a week times 50 weeks a year times the average salary of what he was paying them. When we ran that math, the hard cost of the meeting was $62,000. That's how much it just cost him to have that meeting every single year. Okay, 62 grand. That's a lot of money. It's not 6 figures. So how do we get there? What it also cost him was 2,000 hours, right? 20 people, 2 hours a week, 50 working weeks a year. It cost him and his team a collective 2,000 hours to just sit on that meeting and talk. That is 2,000 hours that should have been put to work actually doing the thing that makes the business money. And for his company, 2,000 hours, that was about 2.5 weeks of working time, came out to $150,000. So the actual cost of that meeting was not just the 62 grand of hard costs, but it was the $150,000 opportunity cost, the very real revenue that could have been brought into the business, but couldn't because his team was spent talking on a meeting that everybody hated, and here's the real kicker, wasn't even necessary. It was such a bad meeting that just by tweaking his systems and his operations a little bit, we were able to eliminate that meeting entirely. That's how useless it was. And we were able to free up not just 62 grand in labor cost, but unlock 150 grand in potential future growth. So this is why your bad meetings are costing you so much money, because you are paying for your team to sit there and waste time and money and not put that same set of hours towards the work that actually makes you money. Meetings are one of the what we call hidden profit centers inside of your business, right? That is profit just waiting to be found and unlocked inside of your business, hiding in plain sight. There are actually 6 hidden profit centers. And so what I built with my team is what we call the Hidden Profit Finder. In 10 minutes or less, you can take this quick diagnostic quiz and it will tell you exactly where profit right now is leaking out of your business and what you can do immediately and for free to find and reclaim that profit. So if you want it, there is a link. It's free. It's in the description. It takes 10 minutes or less and it will immediately unlock up to 6 figures in hidden profit inside of your business. You're welcome. Okay, so now we've established that meetings are really, really not just important, but expensive. They are so expensive to run and to get wrong. How do we run more effective, more efficient meetings? Let's talk about it. Here's a few best practices to immediately level up your meetings. The first is that every single meeting needs to have a clear purpose and a clear agenda. Right? So the purpose answers the question, why the heck do we have this meeting, right? And the answer to that question can't be just to figure out what's going on. right? That's a bad meeting. If we're having meetings just to figure out what the heck is going on and what is everybody working on, that's actually a systems failure. Your systems should be telling you what everyone is working on, what are the priorities for the day, what's actually happening. So if you're finding yourself on hours and hours of meetings, just auditing the business, just figuring out what's going on, just delegating tasks, just following up on tasks, then the very good news I have for you is that none of those meetings are necessary and they can all be eliminated with the proper systems. I'll shoot you a link to a video at the end of this breaking down what those systems are and how to actually do that. But for the moment, let's assume that we just don't have any of those meetings. Okay, so then what do we have meetings for? The purpose of a meeting should be one of two things. It is either to gain clarity and alignment, meaning the purpose of this meeting is to make sure that we are all rowing in the same direction, working on our highest priority activities and sharing with each other what those are, so that we as a team are executing with clarity and alignment. I call these meetings tactical meetings, and the outcome of these meetings is execution. It's tasks, it's blockers removed, it's problems solved. It's helping our team do their best work and keep the trains running on time. That's a tactical meeting. Or the other type of meeting that we can have is what I call a strategic meeting. But the purpose of a strategic meeting is entirely different than the purpose of a tactical meeting. A strategic meeting is there to make decisions, okay? The purpose of a strategic meeting is debate, discussion, data analysis. It's decision making. It is to bring together a team to debate and discuss a big, crunchy question and then make a decision on it. The reason that it is so powerful and so important to separate out tactical versus strategic is because, well, actually, let me just give you an example. Have you ever been on a meeting where you showed up to talk through like a client fire or a big explosion in the business, and then half an hour later, either you, the founder, or someone on your team is like off in the clouds about how we could design a product 18 months from now that will totally solve this one day? And you're like, yeah, really nice, but like client fire, how do we fix this? Why are you wasting our time right now? Right? Or vice versa, where we show up ready to vision and ideate and discuss and make big decisions about big strategic questions. And instead, we find ourselves a half hour later drowning in like the day-to-day client fires that just popped up and that we need to handle, right? When we try and combine tactical and strategic, we don't get either of them done well. And they both have separate agendas. It's a different agenda to create tactical clarity and alignment than the agenda that is going to yield the best debate, discussion, and decision making. So every single meeting on your calendar right now, you can look at it and answer this question. Does every single meeting have a clear purpose, either tactical clarity and alignment or strategic decision making? And are we following a clear agenda that will guarantee that purpose is met? So that's the first piece, is that if the answer to that question is like, no, my meetings are just kind of on the calendar to discuss whatever we need to talk about that day, that is the first opportunity. That's the first optimization that is immediately going to make your meetings faster, better, more effective. The second optimization is assign for every single meeting one facilitator. A meeting facilitator is one person who has been elected in that meeting to make sure that we as a team run the agenda and achieve the purpose. That's their whole job, right? My job as facilitator is to keep us on track, keep us on topic, keep us on agenda, make sure we run that agenda every single time so that every single meeting effectively and efficiently achieves its purpose. What does it mean to be the facilitator? The facilitator is not just the person who's like sharing their screen with the meeting agenda and like taking notes. The facilitator is there to guide the conversation. They are there to ask guiding questions. They are there to interrupt and redirect if the team is getting off track. They are there to organize the communication. So if the founder starts going off on a tangent, they're there to be like, hey, amazing idea, but let's save that for our next strategic conversation tomorrow. And today, let's stay focused on the tactical, right? So the facilitator has the power to question, to redirect, and to interrupt. And because guilty as charged, us founders tend to be the people who are getting so excited about the next new idea or the next new solution. We're the ones taking our team off track. In general, we should not be our own facilitators. It's actually really hard for us to have the self-awareness and the discipline to not get super excited and try and pull the team off track. So in our clients' businesses, we empower the operator, the second in command, the really detail-oriented, organized person to be the facilitator of the meeting. And what's important is that they have an understanding with the founder and with anybody else on that meeting that they have the power to interrupt. They have the power to tell the founder to pretty much shut up and make a note of that. And we're going to talk about that next week on the meeting, who has an exact purpose and agenda to help us do whatever it is you're trying to do right now. So that's optimization number 2, is empower a facilitator who is not you to run your meetings more effectively and keep you on track. The last optimization I will give you for meetings is regularly offer yourselves feedback on how your meetings are going and how they could go better. I know this is a little bit meta. We're gonna have a meeting on how to run better meetings. But here's what's so important about this. This is called a retrospective. And you can think of it as like a pro sports team sitting down after the game to watch the replay of the game and say, hey, what went well? What could have gone better? What will we do differently next time? When we as leaders install retrospectives, meaning checkpoints where we are regularly not just talking about the day-to-day and what needs to get done, but how are we as a team operating and executing? How are we as a team, in this case, running meetings, discussing, debating, making decisions, starting and ending on time, creating clarity and alignment? What we will find is that, like anything else, having a meeting is a skill. Coming together to discuss as a team is a skill. We can grow and get better at it over time. But we can only do that if we sit down and we watch the replay of the game. We take time to ask 3 questions. What went well? Like, we crushed that meeting. Why? What went well? What could have gone better? That meeting was terrible. That was a waste of everybody's time and we got super off track. Why? What happened? And how can we do better next time? How can we discuss and debate better as a team? How can we have more honest, more transparent communication with each other as a team? How can we show up on time and end early as a team? How can we empower our facilitator to lead us better as a team, right? Like, there are so many ways that your team can and should be performing together better as a unit. But we can only create that improvement over time if we take space to ask ourselves those reflective questions. So my promise to you is that if you take action off of this video and you install these 3 things, your meetings will immediately become more effective, meaning they're going to feel like less of a waste of time because every single meeting is getting a lot more done. They're going to be more efficient. Like, actually, you'll be able to take meetings off the calendar, you'll be able to shorten meetings, and you should be able to end most of your meetings early. And all of that equals profit. All of that equals time that you are already paying for, that is no longer being wasted saying useless stuff, and instead is being put to work making your business money. So now we understand how to run better meetings. The obvious question that I have not had a chance to answer today is, but Jhana, what meetings do I keep? What meetings do I get rid of? I created an entire video on how I see top performing CEOs plan and structure their week so that they get more done with less time. You can go ahead, check it out right here, and that is going to give you the tactical walkthrough of how to restructure and reschedule your week so that once and for all, we are eliminating all of the time-wasting meetings and tasks and activities that are holding us back from getting more done with less time. So check it out. I'll see you over there, and enjoy running your newly improved meetings.